Good morning, friends. Today we continue our lecture on force and laws of motion. So, in yesterday's lecture, we saw the different types of motion and we learned that force is the cause of motion. So, after going through the cause of the motion, we saw the types of forces, contact and non-contact forces. We learned how Aristotle gave the theory that to keep a body in motion, a constant force is necessary. And 1500 years after Aristotle, Galileo gave a scientific thought to it. So, yesterday we did this, that when a body is rolling down a slope, the speed increases. When it is going up the slope, the speed decreases. So, when it is going on a level plane, the speed should neither increase nor decrease, and the body should go on like this forever. Yes? So then, based on the fact, we got the Galileo's law of inertia or Newton's first law of motion. A body at rest tends to remain at rest, and a body in uniform motion tends to remain in uniform motion until an unbalanced external force acts on it. Now let us understand unbalanced. So we will go to balanced and unbalanced forces. So before we go to the next law, understand the first law. A body at rest tends to remain at rest, means it wants to remain at rest or it remains at rest, and a body in motion tends to remain in the same motion until an unbalanced external force acts on it. Yes, so we also saw the effects of force. What does the force do? It can bring a body at rest into motion, a body at motion into rest, to rest. It can change the direction of the motion, it can change the speed or both. So you have got lot of examples you can think of. Yes? So when a bowler is bowling to the batsman, he throws the ball. So his applied force, the ball is moving. When the batsman hits it with force, he changes the direction of the motion of the ball. So there are many examples, but first let us understand now balanced and unbalanced forces. So, what are balanced forces? Forces that are equal in magnitude but opposite in direction are called balanced forces. So in the diagram we have got a box here, you can see, and one person is pulling it on the right side with a force of 5 Newton, another person is pulling on the left side with force of 5 Newton. Can you find out in which direction the box will go? On both sides the force applied is 5 Newton. The same amount of force is applied on both sides. So in which direction will the box go? So you will say the box will not move at all. Why? Because the net force is 0. So when the forces are balanced, there is no motion. So remember, forces that are equal in magnitude but opposite in direction are called balanced forces, and when the forces are balanced, the net force is 0. Net force is 0. So those forces are called balanced forces. So balanced force will not bring any change in the state of the body. Means if it is at rest, it will remain at rest. If it is in uniform motion, it will remain in uniform motion. But unbalanced forces are forces that are unequal in magnitude or in the direction. When it is unequal, then it gives rise to unbalanced forces. So here we still have a 5 Newton force on the left, but a 10 Newton force on the right. So this 10 Newton force will overcome the 5 Newton force and the body will move towards the right. So the force we talk about in the first law, a body at rest tends to remain at rest, and a body in motion, uniform motion, tends to remain in uniform motion until an unbalanced external force acts on it. So here in this case the force is unbalanced, it is more in the right direction, so the body will move in the right direction. Okay, so you have got an idea of what is balanced and unbalanced forces. Now for terrestrial phenomena means on the ground, on the earth, on planet earth. On planet earth there is one force acting at each and every moment, and you guess the force. The force is gravitational force. So now you see on the planet earth, on the terrestrial phenomenon, you have seen gravitational force is always acting. Every body on earth which has got a mass is acted upon by a gravitational force. Okay, there are other forces also, for example friction or viscous drag force. You will learn it later on. Drag force is, viscous force is something like when a car is moving and the air is in opposite direction, then the air is also applying a force. You must have seen some, feathers or very light particles, plastics flying in the air. In which direction they go? In the direction of the air. The air is applying a force on it and it goes in the direction of the air. So air also creates a force called a viscous force, but first of all, on the earth there is a force called gravitational force. Now gravitational force pulls everything down. You know that. Gravitational force is acting in the downward direction. It pulls everything towards the earth. Now you can see this picture here. There is a box on a surface, let us say a table. There is a box on the table. Now, gravitational force is acting in the downward direction. But if the gravitational force is in the downward direction, why is the box not going down? Observe around you, see around your house. There are things kept on the dining table. There are things lying on the bed. You yourself must be living on a third or fourth floor or ground floor of the house. Now gravity is acting on each and every body. Then the body should move in the direction of the gravitational force. But you will see the objects on the table are at rest. Means it is not moving at all. And that would mean the forces acting on that body are balance forces. So, if you consider an object at rest on a horizontal surface like something kept on the table, there is one force acting in the downward direction that you know, which is gravity. But the body is not moving downward, means there has to be another force which is balancing the force of gravity. If there was no balance, then the body would move down in the direction of the gravitational force. So we learn that balance forces, in that the net force is 0, so the state of motion of the body does not change. So same case with anything lying on the table, on the bed, gravity is acting, but it is not moving downward. So here we are giving a name called normal force. The normal force acts in the direction opposite to gravity. So we can see the arrows here. The normal force, we consider normal force acting against the gravitational force. And since both the forces are balanced forces, then the net force is 0. So because the forces are balanced, the body will not change its state. If it is at rest, it will remain at rest. If it is in motion, it should remain in motion. So normal force, have you understood? But now let me tell you something else. Suppose you can see on this table, we have kept a glass of water. Now the glass of water, the mass is less, means the force of gravity is less, then the normal acting will also be less. Why? Because they are balancing each other. The box is big, so the gravitational force is more, then the normal force is also more. So you can see normal force is a self-adjusting force. Remember, normal force is a self-adjusting force, means if the gravitational force increases, then the normal force also increases. Now from where does this normal force come? So you can imagine this table, the surface of the table is giving a force perpendicular in the upward direction, which we call normal force. So gravity is acting in the downward direction. We are considering that normal force in the upward direction. Both are equal in magnitude but opposite in direction. So they are balanced forces. The net force is zero. The state of the body will not change. But normal force is a self-adjusting force. Now if you keep on putting more weight on the table, you put a box, you put another box on the top box, one more box you put, so the weight has increased. Then you put one more box on the top, the weight has increased. Means as you are putting boxes on the table, the gravitational force is increasing, the normal force is also increasing because it is a self-adjusting force. But this normal force has got a limit. If you put box after box on the top, then the force, normal force has got a limit. When your gravitational force, it has got a limit, it will then reach a limit. The table has got legs made of wood or iron, but the table has got its limit. So though the normal force is a self-adjusting force, there is a limit. Okay? So when the gravitational force will become more than the normal force, then it will create an unbalanced force, means the table will break and everything will fall down. So why did the table break? The table was providing the normal force. Normal force is a self-adjusting force. When you put a glass of water on the table, then the gravitational force is less, so the normal force is less. When you put a box on the table, the gravitational force is more, so the normal force is more. But they are normal force is self-adjusting, but it does have a limit. When you put too much weight, then the gravitational force increases to such an extent that it overcomes the normal force, the table will break and the things will fall down. So when we see the box is at rest, we conclude from the first law that the magnitude of R, reaction force, equal to magnitude of the gravitational force. So what do we say? That this W, the gravitational force W, yes, the gravitational force W balances the normal force R, so the body is at rest. But that is not true. It is not because the W, listen again and listen carefully. It is not because the W is balancing R that the body is at rest, but because the body is at rest, the R is balancing W. So what we are observing? We are observing that the body is at rest, so the net external force must be zero, but gravitational force is always acting. And because of that, a normal reaction force is also acting. Okay, it is complicated, but I hope you have understood. A box on the table, we know gravitational force is acting downwards because gravity pulls everything down. But there is one force which we cannot see, is the force given by the table to the box in the upward direction, which we call the normal force. So when we are also standing on the ground, gravity is pulling us down. But the earth is giving us a force in the upward direction, the net reaction force. And since we are not going down, means the reaction force is balancing the force of gravity. So you can stand on the ground, you can stand on sand, but can you stand on water? Can you stand in the air? No, because the reaction force given by the water and the air cannot balance the gravitational force of the earth, and hence we will fall down. Okay, now we see one more thing, how various external forces cancel each other and the net external force becomes zero. So here I have taken the example of the car. Now look at the car. The car has got a weight shown by the green arrow in the downward direction. So gravity is pulling the car down. But does the car fall down? No. Because the wheels of the car are in contact with the ground. Can you see that? Are in contact with the ground. And the wheels provide the blue color reaction force. So the total reaction force of the four wheels, the total reaction force of the four wheels of the car balance the gravitational force of the car. So in the top and the bottom direction, the net force has become zero. So gravity downwards, reaction force upwards. So in the vertical direction, the forces are balanced, the car is not moving. Now see the driving force shown in yellow. You start the engine. The engine start, it provides a driving force in the forward direction. And you can see the red arrows is the friction of the four wheels in the opposite direction, backward direction. So you press the accelerator. There is even some resistance of the air. So friction and air resistance are in the direction opposite to the driving force. So their balance forces, then the car will either not go forward or backward. Now you press the accelerator. When you press the accelerator, the driving force is increasing. But when the driving force is increasing, the frictional force will also increase. Because frictional force is also a self-adjusting force. Then you press the accelerator harder. The driving force is now even increasing more. But again, friction has got a limit. So when the driving force overcomes the frictional force, then it is no longer a balanced force but an unbalanced force, and the unbalanced force is greater in the forward direction, so the car will move forward. So you can see on the car, when the car is moving on the road, there are four forces acting at the same time. Gravity is always pulling the car downward. Reaction force is pushing the car upward. Driving force is pulling the car forward. And friction and air resistance are pushing it backward. So if it is balanced, see the top and the bottom are balanced. So the car neither goes up nor goes down. But the front and the back are not balanced. So the car moves forward in the front direction. So then the balanced forces makes the car stay on the ground, and the unbalanced force makes the car move forward. So now we come to the term inertia, which we introduced yesterday. What can you see? If the next external force is zero, then the body continues to remain at rest. And if it is in motion, it carries on the uniform motion, uniform velocity. The property of the body is called inertia. So we saw the first law. The first law says a body at rest tends to remain at rest, and a body in motion tends to remain in motion until an unbalanced external force acts on it. So this tendency to remain at rest or the tendency to remain in uniform motion is called inertia. Inertia generally means resistance to change. It doesn't want to change, it wants to be as it is. So the tendency of the body to resist change in its state of rest or motion is called inertia. So whenever you try to bring a body at rest into motion or from motion to rest, you will have to apply force. You will have to apply force. But if the inertia of the body is more, you will have to apply more force. If the inertia of the body is less, you will have to apply less force. You push a remote control of the TV, you push a glass of water, you push a bucket of water, to move it forward, what do you notice? The bodies which have got less inertia will change the state very easily. The body which has got more inertia will not change the state very easily. So, a body does not change its state of rest or uniform motion, does not change, unless an external force compels it. So, we have seen that until an external force acts, the body will not change its states. But also to change the state, there is a tendency. A body with less inertia will change easily. A body with more inertia will not change easily. Inertia is the resistance to change. So if you are trying to bring a body into motion or a body to rest or change the direction or the speed of the body, then it depends upon the inertia of the body. If the inertia is more, then the change will be less. So that is the idea of inertia. So now we got an example here, and remember, inertia of a body is virtue of its mass. Means generally a body with more mass should have more inertia. Yes? Now look at this small box. It looks the mass is very less. So you can easily push this box with less force. Now this box is having more mass than this one. This is box 1 and this is box 2. What do you observe? The box 2 is bigger and has more mass than box 1. So it is a little difficult to move this box 2. You will have to apply more force to move the box 2. Why? Because the mass is more. So because the mass is more, the inertia is also more. So this will not resist too much. The inertia is less, means it will come into motion easily. Here the mass is more, so inertia is more, so it will not come into motion easily. You will have to apply more force. But I have got a body 3 here, which is bigger than body 2 also. You can see the body 3 is bigger than body 2. So should it have more inertia? Yes, because the mass is more. But do we have to apply more force? No. Why? Because the box has got wheels. So even though the mass is more, the frictional force will be less. And this heavy box can be easily brought into motion because it has got wheels. Means though it has got more mass, the inertia is less. So inertia of a body is virtue of its mass, means generally more the mass, more the inertia. But every time the case may not be the same. Here you can see there are wheels. So it reduces the friction. So the body has got less inertia. Okay, even you can see if this heavy box is on a smooth surface, then the friction will be less. So inertia will be less. And this light box is in a rough surface, even though the mass is less, because of friction the inertia will be more. So inertia is virtue of its mass, but along with the mass we have to also see the frictional force and the contact area. So inertia is again what? Inertia is the tendency of the body to resist the change. Means if the body is at rest, it will try to remain at rest. If the body is in motion, it will try to remain in motion. Now this has got less inertia of rest. In the rest, the inertia is less. Why? Because by applying a little force, the body will start to move. But if this body is rolling, it has started to roll and it is going at quite a speed, then it is difficult to stop the body now. Why? Because it has got inertia of motion. It is now into motion and the frictional force is less, so it is difficult to stop this body because the mass is more. So here again, because the mass is more, the inertia is more. But what did you see in this box? Because of the wheels, the inertia of rest is less, but the inertia of motion is more. So we will see now the types of inertia. There is inertia of rest. A body at rest wants to remain at rest. Inertia of motion. The body wants to remain in motion. Inertia of direction. The body wants to keep its own direction. Now you can see at the bus there is a red light blinking, so the driver has applied a brake and all these people in the bus have jerked forward. The passengers have jerked forward. Why? The bus was in motion. The people in the bus were in motion. Can you observe the picture? The bus was in motion, the people in the bus are in motion, the driver suddenly applies the brakes. So when he applies the brakes, the frictional force of the wheels stop the bus. So the bus is stopped. Now the feet of the passengers are on the floor of the bus which is rough. So they also came to rest. But the heads of the people went forward because it went in the inertia of motion. They were into motion, the legs, the whole body was in motion with the bus. But when the bus stopped, the feet stopped because there is friction between the legs and the floor of the bus. But the heads, they all jerked forward. This is inertia of motion. Now the bus was standing at rest, the light became green, so the bus moved forward. The bus has gone forward. When the bus went forward, the feet of the people went forward with the bus. But the heads wanted to remain at rest, so the heads jerked backwards. That was inertia of rest. Here the body was in motion, the bus was in motion, the bodies were in motion. The bus came to a halt, but the bodies tried to remain in motion, jerking forward. Here the bus was at rest, the bodies were at rest. Suddenly the bus went forward, then the bodies tried to remain at rest, so the head jerked backwards. Here is a carpet. Okay, we dust the carpet by hitting a stick. What happens? This is a carpet with dust. When you hit the stick, because of the force, the carpet moves backward, but the dust particles remain in their own place, separate from the carpet and fall down. This is how we clean a carpet, by hitting with a stick. Now clothes. When your mom washes the clothes and put them to dry, they jerk it once, means give a big jerk. Why? They hold the cloth and give it a jerk. While giving a jerk, quick jerk, the body comes forward. Yes? And along with the body, the water droplets on the shirt also come forward. But at a certain point, the body stops. But the water droplets are in motion, they go forward and they leave the cloth. So the cloth loses the water and then you put it to dry. When you shake a branch, there are some dry leaves. Yes? So when you shake a branch, then the branch comes into motion, the leaves try to remain at rest and then they separate from the branch and fall off. Now we see the inertia of direction. When you're traveling in a car at a high speed and suddenly the car takes a bend. So when the car takes a turn to the left, the passengers get a jerk on the right. Why? Because they were going in a certain direction, they wanted to remain in the same direction. The car went to the right, the passengers are remaining in the same direction, so they get a jerk on the left side. This is inertia of direction. Now we know what are mud guards on the wheels of the vehicles. Yes, behind the wheel of the vehicle there is a rubber pad which is put. A rubber pad. It is called a mud guard. Now when the wheels are moving on a wet road or the road after rains, then what happens? Mud keeps on flying from the wheel due to inertia of motion. The mud sticks to the wheel and it flies backwards. So the passenger coming at the back can be filled with the mud. So vehicles have got a mud guard. This mud guard prevents the mud from flying on the back side. It prevents all this mud from flying to the back and hence the passenger coming at the back does not get the mud. Okay? So this is how it occurs. So mud guard are kept in vehicles because The mud guards are kept in vehicles because the mud flies in the direction of the motion and the passenger behind feels the mud. Then fast moving vehicles are provided with seat belts and airbags. Why? Because a fast moving vehicle, when suddenly hits something, then the body comes to rest, but the passenger inside will move forward because the inertia of motion, and he can hit himself with the steering wheel and the impact can be heavy. So there is a seat belt to hold the driver in place and there is an airbag to slow down the force to keep the driver safe. So these are examples of inertia. The next topic is now momentum. So inertia is done and the first law is over. The next topic is about momentum. Now to understand momentum, let us see the effect of force. Case 1. There are two bodies having same mass, but the velocity is different. This is 2 meter per second, this is 5 meter per second. These two bodies go and hit something. Who will have more effect? You will say obviously the body with more velocity will have more effect. So when the body has same mass but different velocity, then the impact will be the one with the higher velocity. In the second case, the velocity of both the bodies is same, but the mass of the body is different. Mass of the body is different. So the mass is different means what? Who will have more impact this time? Same velocity but different masses. So higher mass will have more impact. So the effect of force is more if the velocity is more or if the mass is more. So you can see the effect of force is because of mass and velocity both, and it is called momentum. So the body which has got more mass will show more effect of force. Means this both body go and hit something, then who will cause more damage? In the case 1, because mass is same, higher velocity will cause more damage. In case 2, the velocity is same, so the body of higher mass will cause more damage. That is the effect of force. So effect of force is because of mass and velocity. Means both have an effect on the force, and this effect is called momentum. So let us define momentum. Momentum is defined to be the product of its mass and velocity. P is equal to m into v. So the total impact is the product of mass and velocity. So let us see. In the case 1, momentum 1, P1, 30 is the velocity, 30 is the mass, 2 meter per second is the velocity. Yes? So the momentum is 32 are 60 kg meter per second. In the second case, mass 30, velocity 5. So the momentum is 150 kg meter per second. Case 2, velocity is same, the mass is 30, velocity is 2. So the momentum of the first body is 60 kg meter per second. But in the second case, the mass is 22, velocity is 2, the momentum of the body is 44 kg meter per second. So momentum is the product of mass and velocity. So what you can see, the effect of force or the impact of force depends upon two things, the mass and the velocity. And what is the relationship? It is not the addition or subtraction. It is the product of mass and velocity. So momentum, when calculated, when the effect is seen, it is the product of mass and velocity. So today we have done Newton's first law of motion again, understood balanced and unbalanced forces, understood what is inertia, the types of inertia, the examples of inertia, and introduced the topic of momentum. Tomorrow we are going to go to Newton's second law of motion. For that you will have to understand momentum very deeply. So kindly see the video again and understand all the concepts of physics. Tomorrow we move on to Newton's second law of motion. So I am going to end here. Thank you.